It was just a contract marriage, until his brother changed everything. I never thought my life would look like this. Married to a man I didn't love, sleeping in a stranger's guest room, falling for someone I should have never even spoken to. But it all started with a contract. Ethan needed money, I needed a green card, and my family had enough to spare. They paid him generously under the table, and he agreed. No strings attached. We weren't in love, we weren't even friends. He had a girlfriend on the side, maybe two. He was charming in a politician's way. All surface, no soul. But he was safe. For a girl like me, whose name came with threats back home, safety was priceless. What I didn't plan for was his younger brother, Caleb, who lived with him. When I moved into Ethan's house to make it look real, Caleb was the one who helped carry my suitcases upstairs. He was the one who left snacks outside my door when I had migraines. He didn't flirt, he didn't pry, he was just kind. And that made it worse, because kindness is dangerous when you're desperate to be loved. At first, we spent a lot of time together. We talked about our mutual love for art, and I told him how my dream was to go to New York and open up my own gallery one day. One late night, after a few too many drinks, we almost kissed. It was overwhelming. All I wanted was to be with him. But Caleb pulled away before anything happened. After that, we tiptoed around each other for months. I buried the feelings, told myself it was just gratitude. But then there were moments. Shared glances over breakfast. Quiet laughter during late-night reruns. Once, I fell asleep on the couch and woke up with a blanket draped over me, and the scent of Caleb's cologne still lingering. I knew it was wrong. Ethan didn't care about me, but the contract still mattered, so I kept my distance. When I caught Ethan making out with someone in the kitchen at 2 a.m., I didn't even flinch. But Caleb did. He looked at me like it broke something in him. I told him, "You don't have to protect me. This was never real." He didn't say anything, just clenched his jaw and walked away. The clock started ticking once my visa was declined. All the while, Ethan barely remembered our anniversary. Meanwhile, Caleb remembered how I took my coffee and which book made me cry when I was 12. But I couldn't stay, not without papers, and certainly not after I overheard Ethan planning to get the contract annulled, now that he had spent all the money. As I packed, Caleb offered to help, but I could tell there was something he wasn't saying, something he was holding back. Then, out of nowhere, a job offer came. A design firm in New York wanted to hire me after seeing my work online. I didn't apply. I didn't even know how they'd found me, but I didn't ask questions. I had the chance for a work visa, and I took it. I cut all ties with Ethan, but when I went to say goodbye to Caleb, he avoided me. I got my own apartment and spent my first week exploring New York, but I still felt like something, or someone, was missing. Weeks later, I found out the truth from my boss. Caleb was the one who had submitted my portfolio. He pulled strings and called in favors. He saved me, and he never told a soul. I left work right there, and then headed straight for the airport. Next thing I knew, I was standing outside his art studio, heart racing, breath caught in my throat. He looked up when I walked in, shock flickering across his face. I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" He looked confused until I said I knew that he sent in my application. He shrugged and said, "Didn't do it to be thanked. Just didn't want the world to lose someone like you." I crossed the room, reached for his hand and said, "Then let me say thank you anyway, and maybe I'll stay. This time, without contracts." He smiled, slow and soft, then asked me how much apartments in New York cost, and just like that, we both stopped running. This time, I chose love. Not the kind that hides behind paperwork or money, the kind that waits quietly, the kind that sees you, even when you can't see yourself.